How's it, my bro?
Like yourself.
Like it's nice to have you back.
Absolutely.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
I specifically want to talk around e-commerce support and managing queries and questions from consumers.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't really pay a lot of attention to this, and a lot of them just outsource that to AI, which to an extent can be very efficient. We can talk about that. But answering questions before someone makes a purchase or after someone's made a purchase builds a ton of trust and credibility with the business in itself. And a lot of people don't have the time or the resources, or they're just too lazy to actually spend time replying to customers. That said, context and the lessons that we've learned is that November last year, one of the businesses that we own together, we shot the lights out over Black Friday, and we were just in a tornado of queries. Orders were delayed by 14 days. We got 1-star reviews left, right, and center. It was just not a pleasant time.
No.
However, we learned a lot from it. And I think if that didn't happen the way that it did, we would definitely not be one of the best customer service businesses, e-commerce businesses in the country. And I say that, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I really confidently believe that we are at the top 1% of businesses out there. Now, you've hit that up for us. And I think you deserve most of the credit when it comes to putting the systems in place. And I think I want to ask some questions on what we experienced, what we did, and where we are today in managing those kind of questions and queries, because a lot of revenue is left on the table when you don't attend to it.
Yeah.
So let's start just with maybe giving people some context of what happened Black Friday last year, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So I think we did well. Too well.
We did 1.2 million in a single day.
Yeah.
On average, we used to do 150,000 Rand a day or 100.
Yeah.
No, actually,
between 80 and 150,000 Rand if you ran a sale. We were counting on doing between 500 and 700,000 Rand on Black Friday, and we ended up doing 1.5 million Rand. So we did too well. And our warehouse kind of did ask us to stop, but we didn't.
Jason said, keep going.
Yeah, I was just like, carry on. But it was a good learning curve. And you know what? I don't think that we would be here today knowing that we know and implementing what we implemented without it breaking. Our business broke. It seriously broke. And when I say broke, as Jandre said, from a customer experience perspective, we got 1-star reviews by the 100, and orders were delayed between 2 and 3 weeks. And I just want to talk about fledgling businesses, startup businesses, support at your business name, coming into a top 3 mailbox, and the founder is replying to support queries, or husband or wife helping
late at night,
or maybe even ignoring, certain queries because they are deemed like unnecessary.
Or because it's late at night.
Maybe. Or just uninterested.
Yes.
Which is generally the case. Sales done. Anyway, so we were kind of in that phase of phasing out that inbox, kind of a few people working off an inbox, going onto our first ever support system called Freshdesk, and got real. After Black Friday, we were just inundated with issues. And what we did was we took a step back and we had a very real conversation, I remember, on WhatsApp as well. And that was one evening. And we both agreed that customer support needed to change. But not for no finger pointing, but for the good. And I gave my word that give me a week and we will change things. Within a week, we hired a full-time resource that looks after support today. She looks after 5 agents. We weren't ready to hire full-time, so we went on to hire a temp, like a gig worker.
Virtual assistant.
And we tackled support, and we put process and procedure in place. The second thing that we did was we did a review campaign. And the review campaign looked at all our 1-star reviews, and we turned it into 5-star reviews by giving customer credits, by sending them new product, by giving them a call and speaking to them. There were a multitude of different things, and we adopt that today still. However, it wasn't good enough. We were outgrowing Freshdesk in the functionality that we wanted. We had implemented WhatsApp support as well, and I remember having a conversation around that as well. How we were going to deal with replying to WhatsApps ad hocly was not good enough. We moved from Freshdesk over to LiveAgent, which supported WhatsApp API. It supported Meta and replying in line to comments and to inboxes, plus emails. And that's what we call a unified inbox.
Just to give context to that, I
Yes.
think a lot of small business owners out there running their own e-commerce stores have messages coming from all angles. They're getting messages from Facebook comments, Facebook Messenger, Instagram comments, Instagram
Sure.
messages, WhatsApp messages, emails, query forms on the website. And I think that creates a sense of overwhelm, anxiety, frustration. And that's where LiveAgent comes in, because it allows you to consolidate all of those messages and then allow you to, in a chronological order, start replying to them one at a time.
Yeah, correct. So it comes into a unified inbox on LiveAgent. We set it to first in, first out.
What does that mean?
It means that if I send something now and somebody sends something in 5 minutes' time, at the top of the list is going to be the first query we got, and then the second query is next in line. So you're not jumping the queue by going to reply to something that came in 5 minutes ago, but somebody's waiting an hour.
Sure.
So that's the first thing. The second thing we did was we segmented our inboxes. So we got this unified inbox that everything just filters into as a catch. And then we start filtering out everything that came in with Facebook comments go into a queue. Facebook messages go into a queue. WhatsApp goes into its own queue. Email goes into its own queue. And we've got different agents that are put onto those queues, and they run those queues as like their little shop, right?
An agent is someone, right?
An agent is a resource, so a support person,
Okay.
a customer support advocate, should we call it. Yeah, and we also do outbound calls now. We've introduced calling our clients, so we pick up the phone, we ask them how their experience was on our store, purchasing, delivery, and product. And then from a review perspective, we've obviously implemented our review strategy, and we tie that into everything that we do today.
My question is, where were we last year in November in terms of total people replying to comments, and how many queries did we get versus where we are now?
We've exponentially grown, obviously, since last year, but the ratio will never change, right? So we had 2 people when we implemented support in November last year. We had 2 resources in our customer support, and we today have 5.
And in terms of total queries?
Total
average?
queries, I'm going to talk about now, right? So
Sure.
on a good day, and when I say good day, when everything is just like a normal business as usual day, no sales are running, and not every support query is bad. Some are really good. People want to change things or add to their order or ask questions. We'll get between 100, 150 tickets, or let's say queries. On a busy day, we can have anything up to 400 queries.
Crazy. I think that's obviously why you need the team that we have.
Absolutely.
Because we're doing a huge amount of traffic on a daily basis, which leads to those kind of queries. And if you don't attend to those queries, you lose a lot of money. There's a lot of money left on the table, but not attending and giving those customers a good experience. And a good experience builds trust and credibility and increases the odds of you just, bringing someone back over time. So we moved from, I think you initially said we were on Freshdesk, right?
Yeah.
We moved over to LiveAgent.
Correct.
What was the features LiveAgent offered that you found appealing?
So the biggest reason we moved over was our inline replies in our Meta environment.
Inline, meaning?
So when somebody comments on an ad, for instance, it goes into the comments section. A lot of the providers like Freshdesk will reply to that comment,
But not
but
on
into an inbox,
with you.
into a private. And then you have even more people going, but they're not replying. But we did reply, but it goes
It's private.
private. And LiveAgent allows you to reply inline
In the comment
in the
section.
comment section. So you actually see it as you would as a person going into your comment section and replying to somebody.
And
That
that's-
was the biggest driver.
And then just on that, what people probably don't know is the moment you comment back on that ad, you're
Incredible.
also feeding the algorithm, because the algorithm sees engagement, and engagement means people are giving their attention to what's in front of them. And that means that they would most likely want to show it to more people, because the signal is indicating that this is something that people are engaging
with.
at a good ratio with. So by not commenting on that inline thread, there's 2 cons. First is people think you're not replying when you are. Other people now that hasn't made a comment yet.
Yeah.
And secondly, you're not actually boosting or giving the ad any further credibility.
You're not feeding the algorithm. Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was our biggest reason. Our second reason was more features on the WhatsApp API, obviously. We were bringing WhatsApp into our stable. and there was just more manageable way of replying to messages with separate queues that we could do.
And from what I also understand, we separated, you said, I think before
Yes.
our conversation, we separated WhatsApp from the unified inbox. Maybe just explain why we did that.
Yeah, so WhatsApp, or the WhatsApp API, the WABA in Meta, allows you 12 hours to reply to a WhatsApp message. Post that, it closes that message, and you cannot respond until a client reopens that or sends you another message. So it's part of like a WhatsApp API SLA that you have to respond back next to like immediate or within 12 hours, otherwise it's null and void. So we separated that, and it's got its own dedicated queue with its own dedicated agents.
Now, the main reason, just for those who are watching and listening to understand a bit better and for the context, is that you don't want to miss out on replying to those customers if it wasn't a unified inbox, because then the inbox is going to be cluttered with Facebook messages, Instagram messages, and that 12-hour window is so crucial in order to give that customer essentially the answers that they're looking for. Now, a lot of people are saying, why don't you just use AI? So my question to you is, do we use AI? To what extent? And why not at all as a complete solution?
We did use AI. So we had a chatbot at the bottom of our website. However, it's unmonitored. And I do not think an unmonitored AI bot is going to give the same customer experience, first of all. The answers are whatever you tell it or prompt it to answer. However, you cannot monitor what it answers correctly or incorrectly. I've also noticed with statistics backed in our AI app that we used, and we used it for a long time, that when somebody engaged with the chatbot and the chatbot replied, there was no further conversation, which meant that they weren't engaged with that chatbot.
Because
They would rather just click on talk to a consultant on WhatsApp now and move to the consultant for a real person-to-person conversation.
And here's what people don't know. It's like a lot of people can tell when they're speaking to an AI agent.
Immediately.
And the reality is people don't want to. This is the fascinating time for me as a marketer and as someone who's always focused on productivity and efficiency and using technology in order to scale systems. I initially thought when AI comes along that you can just plug it in and you can scale and things will run so much smoother. But the reality is people prefer to speak to real people. And you can make the AI sound like a human, but there's just nuances that it can't mimic yet. And the moment the other person realizes they're not speaking to a real person, they're just less engaged. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make the sale or that you're not going to get the customer. However, I can tell you now, when there's a real person on the other side, there's a higher level of trust and credibility that gets carried across, which increases the probability of that person actually making a sale with the business. So it's not that AI will negatively affect, unless it's completely unmonitored and not structured correctly in terms of how to reply from a prompting perspective. If that is done correctly, I don't think it will negatively impact the brand. However, I do believe personal touch and a real human being on the other side increases the probability of someone making a sale.
Absolutely. One step further, I would turn AI around and use it in-house for our customer support advocates in their benefit.
In which way?
So instead of the AI bot facing outward towards
The public.
Use it to your benefit internally for your own staff.
Okay.
It knows your product already if you've trained it. It knows how to reply, and you can train it more. Yeah, I mean, use it internally. We're already doing it today.
So you're saying let the support team use AI in order to respond better to the customer?
Yes, but not even that. For a business like ours that has 1,800 variants of product, our support team will never ever and can never ever know every single variant of a product and what that variant is made up of. But the AI does. It knew that within the first 5 minutes of scanning. So you can use that to your benefit within a support environment by asking a question, getting a tangible answer, and using that tangible answer to reply to somebody that is looking for an answer.
I'm with you on that. I had an interview with a company called Prime Self, and I have seen that what she said to me, her name was Nicola, she said that they've implemented a customer support bot that if people have supplement questions and dietary questions, the bot can obviously reply to them and give them context because it obviously knows all the information about all the products. Now, I have seen that a lot of businesses use that and there is an advantage to it and it does help maybe to an extent. But how is that different to us? Because we are not using that as a front-end solution to the consumer, but we have actual staff reply and actual people reply to the customer. Like, at what point can a business use it and at what point shouldn't they? Like, is there like a line in the the sand somewhere, or is it just nuanced, or what did we see specifically that made us switch to actual human beings replying to it?
So, in my opinion, yes, we had that. There's a time and a place for everything. If you as a business owner think that you're going to put in an AI bot at the bottom of your website and say thank you very much and then go do your thing, it's going to fail miserably. Week after week, you need to train that bot. You need to go and see what it's replying to customers, because you're thinking everything is hanky-dory until you actually see the reply. And there's also like an inbox behind the bot. So you can see messages coming in, what the bot replies, and then people falling off, or replies are correct, which is great, or totally incorrect. So there's continuous educating the bot all the time, which is like a full-time job, right? Yeah, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place, or from a functionality perspective, what you wanted to concentrate on. So it's easy for a bot to go, what is your order number? What is your email address? And your delivery is going to be in X, Y, and Z, because it deep integrates into your order. If it asks you, and for a company that runs a few different sales every single month, and somebody asks about a sale, it's probably not going to know about it until you start teaching it about that specific sale. And every sale has a nuance as well.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you chatting to me today about this, because I think people assume, especially business owners starting these e-commerce businesses, they assume that they're going to plug in an AI, it's going to do all the work for them, or they don't even know that they can use AI, or they want to do it themselves, but they don't have the time and they don't have the resources to hire a full-time assistant in order to attend to those queries. So I think what we've concluded is that there is a solution for any business, no matter the size.
Yep.
For every business, there is a solution, no matter the size. And I think if you're starting out and you don't have time, yes, play around with the AI and see what it does. But I do believe it has to be monitored in order to ensure that your customers actually get the best experience possible. Outside of that, we have noticed that we just get a better engagement and a higher probability of a sale if a real human replies on the other side. And I think if you want to go that route, that's completely cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And it obviously is working for us really well. You don't have to do that if you don't feel it's necessary. And maybe you have AI figured out to the extent. But again, we work with over, like you said, 300, 400, 500 tickets sometimes a day. And that is what we've realized. And I think customer support is just something that's very neglected. It's almost like the ugly stepchild of the family. Because
it's a burden.
Yeah, because most people focus on acquiring the customer. So they focus on Facebook ads, they focus on new products, they focus on Google ads, they focus on email marketing, they focus on making the website pretty, they focus on working on specials. But when the queries come in, it's almost like, oh man, this is like, I don't feel like replying to these, especially mundane questions. So in the beginning, you might be enthusiastic about it and excited about every single question that comes your way. But after like 6 months to a year, you're like, same questions. And essentially, I think a lot of people just start neglecting it and they blame time as a problem, or resources as a problem, or capital as a problem. So if the issue is money, use AI. If the issue is you can't afford a full-time resource, use virtual assistants. If the issue is that you have too many tickets, you just can't get to anything, then you just need more resources at an affordable price. Or then use AI plus the resources that you have. So it's really just a matter of where your business is and where you're lacking, and then picking the right solution from there. But customer experience is like literally the most important thing. And I think we've gone from having majority 1 stars on Hello Peter to being the most positively reviewed fragrance business on Hello Peter. And I believe that and Trustpilot, and we have no doubt the best customer service out there. And with that said, we've learned a lot from it. And I think this is why this conversation was aired today, or was recorded today, because more people need to know that this is not something that you should neglect, and that there's actually a gold mine sitting on the back of these queries if you attend to them correctly. So thanks for your time. Much love to you. Now get out of my studio. Cheers.